unfold.
I think we're going to see some chaos and fireworks and lots of action. In the bottom right side, we're looking at the main base of the man who had a great start in this group. He was 3-0, then had a surprising PvP loss against Gerald. Let's see how he will bounce back. This is PtitDrogo.
There is no big enough introduction for this man. It is Mouse's HeRoMaRinE. Big Gabriel. All right, so yeah, how does this play in the early game usually, Roddy? Doesn't look like anything crazy going on.
I feel that Drogo is a fan of some of these core before Nexus openers and then chrono boosting out the first adept to be very annoying on the other side of the map and potentially stall the command center. But Death Aura is actually one of the bigger maps we currently have. So it takes a little while for that adept. So I don't think that's really the way to go. I don't know, man. I'm excited for this because, like I said in the little pre-game chat that we had with Zombie Grub as well, I am still not convinced about HeRoMaRiNE's shape at the moment. I know he played great against Hearthstone and he looked convincing and dominant in that best of 3. But overall, I felt a lot better about Gabe 2 to 3 months ago than I currently do. And I could be wrong. It could be false. But he's also been a little bit vocal about it himself, or he's just like, I'm out of shape, I'm out of shape. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Do you feel like
that's kind of how he talks in general, though?
Yeah, that's, like I said, you can take that with a grain of salt, but I've seen it as well in his gameplay. Like, he had a couple of nail-biting series against players that he was just consistently dunking on before, right? So, I don't know. I think he's telling the truth, and that's why I think this is going to be awfully close. And Drogo's wild, man, right? Like, we know that he's capable of doing a lot of crazy things at once. Zealot run-bys, War Prison play in the main base. It should be really fun.
Yeah, we'll see. Of course, power picks are always changing and fluctuating for all players. Sometimes enough that we get the newcomers meeting with the older universe as well. But this time it's Drogo versus HeRoMaRiNE. It's a classic, and he's gonna be going for that adept. Not particularly quick though. What is this? Just to scout?
Yeah, I think it's always nice to get an adept on top of the ramp, or at least the shade, so you can see if the factory is connected to the reactor, or if the barracks is still chilling there. You also want to count the amount of Marines that are out. The moment when you see 3 Marines this early on, you kind of know that there is no Reaper, unless something...
Is 3 Marines enough?
For an adept?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if the Stalker joins in as well, then it's not necessarily enough. But it's a little bit risky to be sticking around for too long. HeRoMaRiNE is going to get the bunker, but that bunker won't actually be in time. This could actually end up in a couple of casualties here, because the Adept and the Stalker are going to have a great time against just the Marines.
Yeah, and there's no bunker, like you said. And there was a swap onto the factory, which now nets 2 Hellions, but they're not particularly good against Stalkers, right?
No, but they are faster than Stalkers. So yeah, you actually don't win that. Like, they're not great. But the problem is Stalkers also don't fire that quick. If the Adept was still alive there, I actually think Drogo made a mistake by sending the Adept that far forward. Because the Adept didn't do that much, right? It was just kind of sitting there eating up shots. If the Adept and the Stalker are alive, then Hellions suck. But if it's just one Stalker, Stalkers attack too slow.
So, but it wouldn't lose to 2 Hellions, would it?
It would, because there is way more micro potential in the Hellions. They're way faster, so HeRoMaRiNE will eat like 5 shots on 1 Hellion, then micro it back, Stalker can't catch up, then 2 more Hellions show up, and you still lose your Stalker. So it's a losing battle, and Drogo made the correct choice there by just recalling.
Cool. That's awesome. So it was either get gunned down while you retreat or recall. It was the only 2 options. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Like, if you're 100% sure that it stays at 2 Hellions, yes, you can stick around, you'll win the fight, but it never stays at just 2 Hellions, right? There will be a Marine helping out or another Stalker. Anyway, let's see if this medevac drop can get something done. Drogo's a bit out of position, and this is going to hurt. The 4 Hellion drop in the main base, grabbing 5 probes already, and the probes are so clumped up.
Yeah, misses one of the better clumps to go for the easy one, but now finding his way into the natural. And he's going to get a few more probes here. Not really lining up as well as he could.
Oh,
now this final 3, that's a lot. 17 probes.
Yeah. The damage was just way too split up, right? Like a couple of Hellions in the front took a few shots, then the center Hellions took a few shots, then the medevac absorbed 6 shots. So all of the units took a beating, but none of them went down. And that is what allowed HeRoMaRinE to just get a ridiculous amount of damage there. I'm kind of surprised to see it got that much done, because I thought Drogo's scout was good. When you see those 2 Hellions, like, yes, often there are some builds where they only go 2 Hellions and then it's some weird follow-up with like a Marine drop in the main, Hellions in the natural. But if you see those 2 Hellions that early, you have to be wary of the potential of the Hellion drop in the main base. I didn't think it was going to do that much.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's only a few things that it could be with Hellions, right? They're going to try to get in your mineral line somehow, or they're going to be useless. So look out for that for sure. This would be nice.
Yep, that is an awfully exposed tech lab. I have no idea what the tech lab is doing there, but it's only combat shield. And HeRoMaRinE actually takes down a Stalker, so it's not all that bad. I think most Terrans don't mind playing late game as long as they had a good start. And this was a very good start, right? 17 probes is a dream scenario.
Most definitely. Hey, Terrans must hate the size of this main though, right? Like you were talking about where the where the reactor was or the tech lab was, but it is such a small main. It must be difficult to find space for everything.
That is true, but it also helps them out sometimes, right? Because now a tank near your main base covers the ramp, covers the edge, covers your mineral line, so every disadvantage has a little advantage as well.
True that.
Look at the army supply. 47 against 11 at this point. It's like... I don't know how you're supposed to turn this around if you play Protoss. I actually almost wouldn't have minded to see him go straight into Disruptors here, which I don't think is a particularly great build, don't get me wrong. But I think just making Colossus in a game like this, I don't see how they win the game for you.
Yeah, Colossus will trade effectively as armies scale, but not effectively enough. You're basically saying he's far enough behind that he should go for the Hail Mary plays, because that's the only way to stabilize, right?
Yeah, do you agree or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't play this matchup. I think it looks pretty dire. He's 50 supply behind, so I would default to agreeing.
And then the Blinks are also not really working out, right? It's just 1 Stalker went down sniping the tech lab. It's like, okay, it is what it is. But then he lost 3 Stalkers in the natural, and now even losing 3 more Stalkers in the center of the map. HeRoMaRinE is going to push out. I don't know if this was his plan all along, but HeRoMaRiNE's army looks monstrous, and Drogo's army looks very sad.
That's a lot. The tanks alone, 4 of them will be annoying down this ramp as well. It looks like a good position to siege.
I almost wouldn't even siege you. I would just keep the tanks like this. That army is so powerful. Yeah. Honestly. Well, super battery is active. HeRoMaRinE is going to gun down that battery. The tanks are a bit too far away, so HeRoMaRinE is going to have to bring them a little bit closer. Drogo wipes in a few more units, but 84 army supply against 39. I believe in miracles, just not in this one.
I don't know, Kev. Yeah, it's looking pretty dire here. It looks like the Colossi are gonna fall, but the Stalker flank, I mean, I like it. He was biding his time for that one play at the end. That was super cute. He wanted to go for the tank snipes. But yeah, a little bit too much there. HeRoMaRinE just too good at macro. If you're gonna take that much damage from him, you better do something crazy to follow up.
Yeah, maybe you want to stay on 2 gases and just go pure Zealot Stalker. I'm not saying that that's good. There is almost no correct decision when you're 17 probes behind, or when you lose 17 probes to a Hellion drop. But I think playing the super standard straight up macro game is probably the worst decision out of all of them, because normally those are already close fights. Now imagine a world where you lose 17 probes to Hellions. Then the fights are just not close, and you don't stand a chance, and that's what we saw there in the end.
Yeah, and against someone of the caliber of HeRoMaRinE, it's just not gonna happen, right? That he's not gonna get supply blocked 3 times like you need him to for you to come back into that one.
Yeah, it's like obviously not totally fair, right? Because I don't think there is like a winning solution, because you're not supposed to take that much damage. But I think a better chance is to maybe play like a 10-gate pure Zealot Stalker on 2 gases, and then hope that HeRoMaRinE moves out with a tank-heavy composition, and you just swarm that army in the center of the map with Zealots and Stalkers. Is that going to work after you lose that many probes? Probably not, but I feel there is more potential for that kind of a victory than there is for just sitting at home and building Colossus, because that's just never going to work, I think.
Yeah, I mean, maybe adding a second robo like you proposed earlier would have been another way to do it. I don't know. It's, at least Colossus are not like Immortals, right? It's not like flat damage. You could still get positional advantages and chokes. So I mean, they weren't the worst choice, but yeah, very difficult to come back from that position. To how many workers was that?
17, I think, to the Hellions. Yeah, that's
A little bit too much.
that's around 9 too much. Like, I think if you kill 4 Hellions in the medevac and you lose 8 probes, I'm like, that's all right. If you lose like 11 or 12 probes and also a lot of lost mining time, I'd be like, okay, that's probably not the defense you're looking for. But all the probes not mining and then losing 17 split across 2 mineral lines, those are just openings that you in general don't recover from, especially not if you go up against somebody like HeRoMaRinE, who's incredibly good in closing out games where he's ahead. Let's go ahead and hop into game 2, because let's see if the highlight of the evening can bring us something a little closer and a little more, I don't know, fireworks perhaps than game 1 brought us. In the top right side, I'm sure he was happy with game 1. Everything went his way. It is the German Terran HeRoMaRinE.
Someone who was probably not happy with game 1, but we're hoping not too unhappy. It is PtitDrogo. Some would argue how happy he was in game 1 could determine his mentality, mindset, and strategy going into game 2.
Yeah, I think that Drogo definitely has enough experience by now to just kind of ignore those kind of games. I don't think he really expected that game to have any other outcome after the Hellions did that much damage. It's just unfortunate, but these things happen every now and then, and you gotta shake it off. It's annoying. Nobody likes losing a game like that, because you have your build, you have it, you know, you kind of have a game plan, and in your mind you have a way that you would love to see the game to play out, and then all of that just gets disrupted by the Hellions. You're like, well, I don't want to leave here, but at the same time I kind of know what's going to happen. You just gotta shake it off and get ready for game 2.
Let's see if he can shake it off indeed. The probe will make its way into the base of HeRoMaRinE. Is he looking for a block there? Just...
Yeah, HeRoMaRinE actually really hates it when a probe is blocking. He never builds the command center off location. He always just fights the probe. Whoa! And
no.
Okay. All right, these are the little things that I do think really tilt you. That's just not supposed to happen. Yeah, no, that's...
All right. Now
after
he's
a game,
tilted.
yeah, no, I know that it sounds silly, but after a game 1 like that, you're like, all right, like your blood is boiling, but you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep it together, and then you lose your probe to SCVs, and at that point you scream something, okay, because you're properly upset with yourself.
All right, yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see it. I'm living through Drogo right now.
I'm angry for Drogo, okay?
I'm angry for Drogo. It's a scary place right now. There's the Reaper. I don't think it's going to find much. This Adept is going to chase him to the end of the earth. Now the Reaper's going to be free to jump inside, though. This must be pretty good for him.
There's that shield battery. This is kind of just like the consolation that Protoss players make. They're like, all right, 100 minerals, and I don't have to worry about that Reaper in the early game, so I can just fully focus on being as annoying as possible on the other side of the map.
Hashtag Protoss Life.
Yeah, I just don't really know if he can be that annoying here. Adepts, obviously, they 3-shot workers. First, as
looking
he
pretty
goes
good
down
on the annoying department. I mean, it looks. I don't know why he's not fighting the Marine, but I guess the bunker is gonna finish. And I mean, that's a good delay. 2 SCVs and the Adept survives. Very well.
Yeah. I think actually picking off SCVs is more important in this phase in the game than picking up the Marine. Because when that bunker finishes up, you're never going to kill the Reaper anymore anyway. So I think if you can get a guaranteed 2 SCV kill, that's what you kind of have to go for. Because we're so early on into the game that every SCV represents a pretty decent percentage of the entire Protoss economy. Or Terran, right?
Yeah. At the same time, I feel like if there was only 1 Marine, it takes, what, 3 shots, right, to kill him?
Yeah.
And he was already down 1 shot. So 2 more shots, and then you don't have to worry about the timer of the Adept until the Reaper arrives. I guess at that point you anticipate the Reaper is pulling back for sure, though, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, the Reaper will never stick around if there's a shield battery in the main base. Like, if there's no battery, the Reaper will stick around, of course, because that's really hard to deal with. But the moment you warp in that battery, every Terran player is going to send their Reaper back home, knowing that they're probably going to need it to deal with those first initial gateway units.
True. Alrighty, we see a Cyclone moving out on the map here. And he's probably looking to find whatever he can find. He would be really happy if there was a Stalker wandering. And there is going to be one, but it looks like the Observer will have a shot at spotting what's going on beforehand. He'll probably miss it, though.
Yeah, the Stalker is a bit out of position, actually, though. So this could have been ugly. Fortunately for Drogo, he gets away with it. Drogo's just going to go up to 3 bases with Blink. I would love to see him be a little lower on the gases this game and just kind of prioritize charge. And just try to get that economy going as quickly as possible.
Yeah, not sure what Drogo's game plan is, but he is the man with a plan usually. As far as Protoss players, I think he's one of the most methodical ones out there. I think he always kind of just knows what he's going to do, you know?
No, I definitely with you. I think especially in PvZ, right? Oh, Stalker gets caught, but Drogo is going to use Recall immediately. There's no shield battery in the natural, so that Cyclone could have been annoying, but obviously there's a ramp, right? So you often lose high ground vision if you're a Terran player there.
True that. Do you find you have to be much more adaptable in this matchup then, in PvT?
No, I think PvZ is indeed a lot about strategy, and I think PvT is a lot about making plays.
Alrighty. Let's see. Well, this is a play here. If he can catch the Cyclone, and he will, that's a little bit of an edge for him. So really nice job, and with that he takes map control. There's an Observer as well spotting, so it's going to be difficult for HeRoMaRinE to move out with any medevacs or anything in the near future.
I can't believe this Reaper lives. I mean, 5 Stalkers are chasing it, and the Reaper somehow gets out of there. Now, there are Observers here, but with Stim being done, you don't really want to do anything crazy like blinking into the natural or blinking into the main base. I think these Stalkers are mostly here to just keep the Terran army at bay, and if HeRoMaRinE wants to push, you just want to be annoying, right? You want to pick off 1 Marine at a time, maybe get a couple of shots on the Marauder. Picks off the Marauder, actually. Well done.
Yeah, I love that Drogo prioritized splitting his Observers there as the Marines stimmed forward, because there was a chance of Scan catching both. But yeah, like you said, he's just going to be stalling here. Oh, gets a medevac. Really nice.
Yep.
How important is killing medevacs against this type of push?
It's super important because he's already baiting out stims early on as well, and obviously this means that basically HeRoMaRinE has like 2 stims and then he's completely out of energy, and if he stims a 3rd time, well, then his units are so low on HP that even Stalkers will be able to fight stim bios. So taking away a medevac there, even if you lose 2 Stalkers, I'm okay with it. That's how important the medevacs are. Drogo only lost 1. Fantastic trade for him, I think.
Yeah, gotta love his position. He's had a 3rd for a while now, and he's played to stall really well so far, I find. There is gonna be thermal lands on the way, and I think finished by the time this attack is done, as well as by the time this attack arrives, as well as charge.
That's a bit unfortunate. Drogo not paying attention there, losing a Stalker, but with the shield batteries here, I have a hard time believing that Gabe can make something happen. Now, most of the time, when Gabe sizes up an army and he can make something happen, he picks up everything immediately and he goes towards the main base, but that is risky, and he obviously doesn't know where the vision is of Drogo.
Yeah, and Drogo has very good vision indeed. He will see any advances onto the main, at least with a little bit of a heads up.
Yeah, HeRoMaRinE, I almost feel like he's thinking about it.
Yes, for sure. Oh, there it is. I mean, but if you know it, does Drogo know it?
Yeah, that's kind of... Well, I think that as long as Drogo realizes nothing else is happening, there must be something happening. And I just hope that Drogo doesn't get baited by this army. Does he pull the Stalkers away? He doesn't. I actually feel that Gabe could have unloaded there, right? Because his army was definitely powerful enough to fight the Stalkers, but he didn't want to take the risk. And I guess that makes sense. Now Drogo can blink to the low ground, fights, picks up a medevac immediately. I feel like Drogo's doing this really well.
Yeah, no Observer here, though. It's going to force him to slow down a little bit. Does end up taking a mine for his troubles as the second one runs from Big Gabe. Well done by him as well, minimizing damage. Oh, Drogo, spicy.
Yeah, with the Observer placement, I think Drogo feels pretty good about the majority of the things that have happened in this game. He's getting a 2nd Robo already. I love that. We don't have a 2nd Forge yet, and I think that's the one thing that he... Oh, we do, actually. And he starts up armor immediately. Even gets the Dark Shrine. Okay, this is maybe a little much, right? Because now we have double Forge, double Robo, 4 base, and a Dark Shrine. But hey, if Drogo survives the next minute and a half in this game, he is going to be in prime position to potentially take this map.
Yeah, double Disruptor production as well. I mean, he's seen everything that he needs to see from Big Gabe. I think he's setting up the right way. I really like what Drogo has been doing this game. It's all about the timing attack, I suppose, from Big Gabe. But does he have a big one, Roddy? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, if the Vikings take care of the Colossus, that's cool and all, but it's the Disruptors, right, that you really have to worry about. And it's not just about the Disruptor shots landing or not. It's about the fact that every single time Drogo is going to fire forward a Purification Nova, Terran army has to retreat or split. And if you're retreating or splitting, you don't have any DPS. So that makes it so hard to attack into these kind of Protoss armies.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever army is being microed away is not shooting. So that is always a problem. So defensively, I really like the idea of the Disruptors, especially with how much he is being greedy, as you accurately pointed out. Here is Big Game Gabe trying to say something about it.
Yep, a big game it is indeed, but Drogo's army just looks good, man, and especially with that super battery, he feels confident he can take it. First Purification Nova kind of whiffs. The second one doesn't really connect that much either, and I think at this point, Drogo has to be a little bit careful. He already used battery overcharge, let's not forget about that. He's got one more Disruptor coming in on the left side, though.
Could be a huge one. Oh, Big Game doesn't see it! It is a big one indeed. The Colossi are still alive. A few Vikings, but like you said, there is no shield battery overcharge to take care of this Colossus, so it will looks like end up falling, but I think Drogo is pretty happy barely holding.
Yep, I think maybe here in the end he's getting a little overeager, but that final Purification Nova is doing some good damage, and at the same time we've got DTs on the other side of the map, picking up a couple of SCVs as well, and HeRoMaRinE just taps out immediately. A little bit surprised by that, but he just felt that he was too far behind. GG gets called, and Drogo with a much better game too.
Yeah, very, very well done by Drogo, defending and with the counterattack of the DTs. He didn't reveal DTs in the main fight, which is rather a great discipline from him, because those would definitely help him hold as well, right? So good confidence that he could hold, and nice game.
Indeed, that means that we are getting ready for game 3, but not before we head into a very quick break, so see you soon.
Welcome back to the DreamHack Masters. Once again, we are now in game 3, getting ready to load into it between HeRoMaRinE and PtitDrogo. I am Katz, joined by Roddy, Rotterdam, Kevin van der Kooi. What's up, man?
I've got a question for you. Who do you think feels better going into game 3?
Just winning game 2, I think.
Okay, but I also
Was
think
that the
the
question?
way that the games played out matters a bit, right? Like, yes, HeRoMaRinE won game 1 very convincingly, but it was off the back of killing 17 probes, and that's not to be cliche, but that's kind of game-ending damage on this level. While Drogo won a relatively straightforward stand-up game 2. So in my opinion, I think the Frenchman has more reason to feel confident.
That is a good point. I mean, I don't know how much they meet in the ladder, but I think going off of these games alone, I think you're right. I think that Drogo did really good. He had good observer positioning. He played a game where he took advantages, and it was clear where he was taking the advantages, but he did it off the back of just good information gathering, basically. So in the top right-hand side of the map, it is someone that may have something to say about that. It is HeRoMaRinE. Scans, I guess, is what you would say to Protoss information gatherers.
And in the bottom left side of Eternal Empire, we look in the main base of the man that's representing Team Raise Your Edge. This is PtitDrogo.
I was trying to think of the sound that the orbital makes. Could you attempt it for me?
The sound that the orbital makes?
Yeah, a scan. What does a scan sound like?
Like, I don't know. I'm not good with that kind of stuff, mate.
Yeah, it's something like that. That is what you say to observers. All right, so Drogo being annoying once again, a little bit more cautious than last time. Hopefully not losing this initial probe. That was a nice little victory to start for Big Gabe last game. So, I mean, is that worth it? He delayed it a little bit.
Yeah, it's always nice, I think, to just be annoying, be a nuisance, but it also gives you a scout. Sometimes you can see that they actually go reactor without a Reaper. Sometimes you see it's Marine into reactor. And all of these things, they do really add up. We can already see that factory being built very quickly. I wonder if we're going to see a swapperoo or if HeRoMaRinE is going to go for like maybe a Marine Hellion move out. But this map is so big that I think the move outs we sometimes see on Everdream, they just don't really make a lot of sense on a map like Eternal Empire.
Now, question for you, Roddy. On this particular map, do you feel like if you're Drogo, you're happy with that probe? Like, is seeing the CC enough, or do you need to see a little bit more up the ramp? Because he delayed the CC, but not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's that big of a deal, or you can really overanalyze that. I think he's happy that the probe is alive. I do think that he could have scouted a bit better because he actually built a shield battery in his main mineral line. And now he realizes that, wait a minute, you've got 3 Marines. If you have 3 Marines, that means you have no Reaper. And that also means that I built the shield battery for absolutely no reason. The Adept gets picked off. No. You know what? I'm going to answer your question. No, you're not happy with that probe because that probe should have done more. It should have given Drogo the information that this was not a Reaper opening, but a Marine opening.
So we could have overanalyzed it, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. We can still be talking about whether or not that probe is good.
Yeah, I mean, the Adept does die, so that is a little bit of a snowball effect for sure. And now Widow Mine's being made a pretty standard tactic here, the Widow Mine drop for the Terrans. How do you find it fares?
It's just a solid opening, and Gabe loves everything that's solid in general. Now, this is something I've been talking about a lot, and I gotta say it didn't really come into play yet, and I kind of hope for Drogo that it doesn't. But one of the big downsides of building a shield battery in your main mineral line is that all the probes go either on the left or the right side of it. So if there is a Widow Mine shot there, you get the absolute money shot of like 7, 8, 9 probes going down. That always happens in my games, and ever since that happened, I was like, you know what? I'm building it behind my mineral line at this point. I'm done, you know? But I haven't seen it that much happen in pro games yet, but it's bound to happen eventually, cats.
All right, will this be the game? We are about to find out. This Widow Mine is making its way to the natural, one of the most annoying maps to defend your natural on, in the sense that there's a lot of airspace, very difficult to spot behind it early on. So I like this opening by Big Gabe. Let's see what it nets him.
Yep,
You want 2 or 1-1? Or it looks like 2.
Stalkers are a bit out of position. Good pull, of course. There is an observer here that's going to try to save the day. Losing a Stalker is obviously not that nice, but at least no probes went down.
Is there something to be said about dropping one Widow Mine and then zooming past the base into the other base, or is that not a thing that people like to do?
It is a thing that people like to do, but Gabe is once again all about being solid and consistent, and that's kind of risky because you don't know as a Terran player what's there in the main base, and you don't know how many times they chrono boosted Blink. So I think Gabe sees a lot more value in keeping the medevac alive, because if the medevac is alive, the Stalkers don't move out, and if the Stalkers don't move out, well, then your main Terran army can actually just push to the other side of the map.
And that's exactly what he's doing, Roddy. Now Drogo trying to move out on the map. Oh, he will. Oh, for a second there, I thought there was 3 Stalkers. Not enough, though. And Drogo has not spotted this move out, I think. This looks very scary from Gabe. Are those SCVs for bunkers or just general repair?
I think a mix between bunkers and repair. This is really cool, by the way, because there's a Liberator heading towards the main base as well. But Drogo actually even left Stalkers behind there. So Drogo's doing a good job. He already has the battery. But this is still a pretty scary army. I would love to see maybe a few Zealots being warped in. I feel like that could save the day. The battery's taking a lot of damage and goes down immediately. And I actually think he might have to cancel this Nexus. I think that'd be the better play. Drogo feels like he can keep it alive. He's going to blink on top. Oh my goodness, no.
Yeah, there's no way. These Stalkers do not have enough DPS. 2 tanks and a Liberator is way too much. I doubt their abilities even against... even if there was no tanks here, I wouldn't blink into that.
I think Drogo is actually going to go to the other side of the map. He realizes, like, he has an observer in the natural of HeRoMaRinE. He's like, what do you really have there? 1 tank, 4 Marines? That's not enough. This game is about to get wild. This also means that if HeRoMaRinE pulls his army that he's pushing the 3rd with into the natural of Drogo, this is going to get really wild. Is he going to blink on top of this tank? I think he is.
Hells yeah! There goes the tank. What an amazing move by Drogo. HeRoMaRinE able to deflect it, it looks like, by pulling a lot of SCVs and some mules as well in his efforts to push it back. The observer will still see what's going on and be ready potentially to pounce onto the tank if it decides to siege. At the same time, big Gabe, though.
Yeah, Gabe is moving forward on the bottom side of the map, and Drogo is still going to have to fight his army eventually. Killing 8 SCVs is not enough. Drogo on the other side of the map tries to get this tank, and it doesn't work out, and things are going from bad to worse. I want to point out that during all of this, charge has never been started. The shield battery with battery overcharge goes down as well, and I actually think that this is just it, man. HeRoMaRinE is just going to win the game with this push.
It looks like it. The Stalkers firing at each other, and that is never a good sign. Drogo looks like he might be a little bit too far behind, and he will call